We're back with the Suburban. Let's check it out a little more. Hey everyone, and welcome to Carrie's Garage. And on this episode, we're going to do a driving review of the Suburban. Now, the Suburban's been on the channel a bunch of times because it's my workhorse that I use for trailering cars around. And the first video I ever did on the channel was with the Suburban. And I did a review of it a while back, but today we're just going to do a quick driving review and talk about it a little bit more. Now, it has been sitting for a little while. Last time I drove it was when I went to go pick up the green Corvair 4-door. The batteries were a little flat, so I had them on a charger. So let's go ahead and do a quick cold start and see how it starts. It's pretty warm outside, so it definitely won't have any problems. It always starts even when it's cold. With the glow plugs, starts right up. And under the hood we have the 6.2 liter naturally aspirated diesel. Well, I'm going to go ahead and pull it out of the yard, set up the camera, and let's take it for a quick drive. Well, we're in the Suburban now, driving up to go pick up a part for the Corvair convertible. I had a friend of mine pick up a hood for me since the hood on that car is just completely destroyed. And one of these days I will fix the air conditioning in this truck. It has factory air, it's just there's a couple of parts still missing and it doesn't work, and it's a little toasty today, but thankfully I've got the vent window, which is a feature of cars that I do greatly miss because they work really well. But I've done a lot of videos with the Suburban before. It's like I've said, this is the vehicle I use for towing, and we've picked up a couple of vehicles already on the channel. We've always used this truck, and it's a great workhorse. I absolutely love this thing, but it definitely does need a lot of work. There's quite a few things that need fixing on it. Now, it does have the diesel, the factory naturally aspirated 6.2 diesel, as I've shown you guys before. And one of the biggest issues with this engine is at this altitude, it's a little gutless. It has doesn't have as much air to breathe as it did down at sea level, which is where I got it. I got it in the Seattle area, and down there it's pretty good, pretty peppy, but you know, up here it's a little lethargic. And I have a fan belt that continues to squeal, but one of these days I will tighten it up. We've got the 700R4 4-speed automatic, 3-speed overdrive, which for what it is good. I am not an automatic fan. I really don't like it. As far as automatics goes, this one is pretty good, but I do want to convert this to a manual sooner versus later. I need to find a couple of very hard to come across parts, and then I will put a manual in it. Still haven't decided which one I'm going to run yet, but I do have a couple of options. But overall, it is a very good driving truck. I absolutely love this thing. The front end is very worn out. The steering box is pretty much toast, so I mean, that is wear in the steering. The ball joints need to be replaced, the steering box needs to be replaced. I need new tires at some point, but you know, I drive this thing once a month, maybe twice a month. I probably should drive it a little bit more, but it's just how much I drive it. I really don't tow all that much. I'm trying to not buy too many cars because I have way too many to begin with as it is. But when I do drive it, it is a pleasure. I hunted this truck down. Not really hunted, I kind of knew where it always was, but I really wanted to buy this truck for almost a decade. And then finally I had the opportunity in 2017 to pick it up. So it's a very special vehicle to me, and it has been for a long time. It is very, very loaded. I'll put a link down below for the review video where we just talk about it, but this is a last year square body, so it's a 91, and they pretty much checked off every single box on the order sheet. And from what I was told by my friend that I got it from, that this was a dealer service shuttle in Montana, so they pretty much checked everything. And being from Montana, they didn't order the rear air, but it was ordered with the rear heat, which is switch down here, rear heat, which The rear heat was removed at some point years ago. So I have all this stuff to do the rear air conditioning, the rear evaporator, all the covers, everything, lines, front to back. I have it all. I really just need to put some time into installing it all, and I need two more things, two more little pieces, and then I can get the air conditioning going in it with the rear air. And I'll just use the rear heat switch. I'll just leave it rear heat, I don't care. It's the same concept, same switch, low, high, off. And I'll hook that up to the back for the rear air conditioning. And then it'll be nice and comfortable, because down here in the Southwest, it gets warm. I mean, it's warm today. It's only gonna be in the 80s, but it's fairly good humidity, so it's a little toasty. So after I'm done with the video, I'm gonna lower all the windows down and have some nice ventilation. But it being a half-ton four-wheel drive, it does drive really nice. It's very comfortable. These captain's chairs with the dual armrests, it's a very, very comfortable highway cruiser. When I originally bought it, I got it out of Phoenix, because my friend picked it up for me in Seattle, brought it out to Phoenix, did some stuff for me, and then we flew from here out to Phoenix and drove it back fully loaded with stuff. And it was incredible how comfortable this thing is on the highway. Unfortunately, the cruise control doesn't work. The switch, there's something messed up in the switch. The vacuum actuator works, I get a signal, everything's there. It's just when you turn the switch on down here, it's not sending power to the cruise control module. So it's really just a simple replacing of the switch. I've used all the factory books that I have to do the step-by-step troubleshooting, and that's where it came to. When I'm getting power to the switch, but when you switch it on, it's not going to the module. So I just got to replace that at some point. Again, many more things and projects to do, and like I say, since I don't drive it very often, I haven't really got around to it, but I definitely will. And then at some point in the future, I'm not really planning on much right now, but in the future I am going to strip it all down, fix a couple of the rust spots, and repaint it. I'm going to redo some of the interior stuff and make it look nicer, because I don't plan on ever getting rid of this vehicle. I absolutely love this truck. Another obnoxious thing that a lot of people talk about in the square body world, and no matter what, this center console piece right here, it's got a little cubby hole and little cup holders. This thing rattles around no matter what you do. They just rattle. It's everyone's like, yep, they do that, that's how they are. So kind of, trait of a 30-year-old truck. God, it's crazy to think this thing's 30 years old now. But as long as you're not in a hurry, it does really well. And it gets amazing fuel mileage for what it is. I mean, I average low 20s in this thing. On the highway, I'll get 24, 25 miles to the gallon doing 70, 75 without a problem. Now, if I load a trailer and I have it behind it being towed, it doesn't do as well, obviously. The more weight and not having very much power. It's just how it is, but just driving it around like this, it's great. Super comfortable, great fuel mileage. And the diesel Suburban had the largest fuel tank you could get on these square bodies. This thing has a 40-gallon fuel tank, and I'll tell you what, it is spendy to fill it up. But I'll fill it up every once in a while, and it'll last for months and months. But it is expensive to fill it up, but it's not that bad. Other stuff about this truck. It is a third row, so it is an 8-passenger, being the captain's chairs. If it was a bench seat, it'd be 9-passenger, but this one's an 8-passenger. I don't have the rear seat. I would like to find one at some point. I'd like to find one in the correct generation with the right color of seat covering, but I'm not in a rush for it. I don't take people for rides in this thing, really. I would just like to have it because, I like having accessories and things that vehicles had when they were new. But runs pretty smooth. It's got 242,831 miles on it now. The heads have been replaced at once in their life many years ago. It got a set of J-code 3/4 1-ton heads without all the EGR stuff, and all that stuff's been removed. The only thing I'd like to do is put a J-code intake manifold on it that doesn't have any of the emissions control stuff on it. This is still the C-code manifold, but the EGR was blocked off. But when I find one, I'll throw it on. And like I've said before, I would like to put a turbo on it at some point. I think that would be really nice. Kind of help with altitude compensation up here. But the Square Body Suburban is really a great blend of utilitarian vehicle, truck, passenger vehicle. Now we'll check out the incredibly lethargic acceleration of the old 6.2 diesel. It was getting on the highway and I was going to mash my foot to the floor. And there's third gear. It's getting there. And there's 60. Well, that'll go ahead and wrap it up the video for the driving review of the 91 6.2 diesel Suburban. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you do, leave a comment down below and I'll thank you, and see you guys in the next video.